What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today we come back for the third edition of the Fight IQ Unplugged. I'm so grateful for all the fighters that took their time to speak with me and being so open, answering all the questions. That means a lot. Today we have the chance to have a conversation with Asa Ten Pow. Asa has a long career as a Muay Thai fighter and kickboxer. He also has a few fights in MMA. He's signed by the One Championship, but without further ado, let's go have a chat with him. What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. I'm here today for a new Fight IQ Unplugged. I'm here with Asa Ten Pow. Thank you very much, Asa, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, let's talk a bit about Asa. Asa is a fighter at One Championship. He's fighting in Muay Thai and kickboxing. You didn't do MMA there yet, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Is it something that will happen in the future?
It should, yeah.
Great.
Should happen.
All right. So let's talk a bit about your background to introduce yourself. So you started martial arts at the age of 5. What did bring you to martial arts?
My parents brought me into martial arts. Pretty much wanted me to get into something that I could defend myself and more or less, just be able to defend myself if somebody was picking on me, since I was going to be a scrawny kid, as the doctors were saying.
All right. And I saw that you were training a lot of different martial arts from early age. So karate, kung fu, kickboxing, boxing. What was the reason for so much variety at such a young age?
I would say just different teachers I was coming about during as you're growing up. Some teachers stay, some teachers go. Schools close, people move and stuff like that. So, but just being an enthusiast of it and just wanting to compete all the time as well. With the lack of competition, so trying to interchange through that would keep me, healthy consistently, and challenge me at the same time.
Yeah. So from your early age, you wanted already to stay active, no matter what. It was your objective.
Yeah, for me, my martial arts career with my father, especially when I was a kid, he brought me to all the tournaments that he could every month. So every month I was doing active martial arts, forms, weapons, and sparring.
Yeah.
And then as I started getting older, the competitions were a little more full contact, and then transitioning to like Sanda and Sanchow and stuff like that, and kickboxing.
All right.
So as I was in that, as I became older, the fights were more less and less. They weren't, show up and you get 10 kids to fight.
Yeah.
So just after the lack of competition and seeing certain martial arts on the big screen, veered me into the more of the sport combat side than the traditional martial arts.
Yeah. All right. Speaking about competition, when was your first competition as a kid? If you remember it.
Like as like a in-house competition, like as a 5-year-old, for sure. I remember doing just some point stuff, and
Yeah.
I remember getting beat by like a girl who had an orange belt and was bigger than me, and made me pretty upset. And that was kind of like my first taste of like competition, I guess, where
Yeah.
and I lost to a girl at the time. So it was like it was really like not off-putting, but I was very upset.
Yeah. Did that motivate you into training harder or more seriously? Well, 5 is a really young age. There is a lot of kids that don't do any sport at that age. So I wonder what were you thinking at the time?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, there was a lot of kids like in my class that were doing it, and they were also doing it at like the school that I went to. So I got a little taste, like I was able to make friends outside, and then they were still in the class with me. So,
Yeah.
but that I remember that quickly like faded real quick. People just didn't stick with it and stuff. Um, but for me, my it was be more or less my father, wanted me to learn consistency and dedication. So
Yeah,
he knew he had to be there to push me along. So wasn't going to drive myself, obviously, as a
of course.
5-year-old,
Yeah.
but uh, he made it a big commitment to that, to being there all the time and taking me all the time.
And you never stopped martial arts since you started?
Correct. Yeah, I never stayed away from it. I was always doing it, whether it was on the side or not,
Yeah.
even through high school. So it was really a big testament to my dad, because I wanted to stop probably when I was in more of high school. I just wanted to focus on like football and
Mm.
track and girls and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and having to go kind of from school and then like go to practice was different. It was there was no kids doing it. There wasn't any specifically in my region and demographic. There was no kids doing it. So it was always me and the adults, and just kind of got my nose turned up at it. But my father was like, "It'll all pay off, and don't worry. When you're 18, you can make all the decisions you want." But you're gonna stick in this till that, because I have to say so. And
Well, that's harsh, but I think now you must be thankful for that, right? With your huge career and resume, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, I can't. It. I'm very thankful for what he was able to do, and his commitment to me.
yeah,
That says a lot. So, and it's not a bad thing to be, I guess, skillful in
yeah,
martial arts. So can continue it outside of scholastic sports as well. So
yeah,
that's a major plus. That's what kind of drew me back when I was like, oh yeah, that maybe the football thing is not going to be it. Like there's no I wasn't doing anything particularly good on any level. So I
yeah,
was like, oh, maybe the fighting is as far as sport wise, is something I'm really good at. Let me stick with
yeah.
that.
Also, I saw that you have a huge amateur career. Like you were amateur for a long time. You had a lot of titles in amateur, in different sport. Also, I saw. Um, was it for you like something that you wanted to do before going pro, having a huge amateur career and a big resume on the amateur scene before going pro?
Yeah, at the beginning, wanted to be MMA fighter, but I was doing more or less, I was doing San Chow more. So, but there was just no competition. So then I was
Yeah.
veering into low kickboxing. At the time, they were calling it Oriental rules, and then
Okay.
kind of switched over to K1 rules, and now it's Glory rules. That I started doing that, and then was kind of was I don't know. There was like no real direction for it, and my dad was trying to kind of push me to the Team USA stuff, and it was the long pants kind of kickboxing, the old school. So I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
And I saw there was Muay Thai competitions going on, so that kind of made me more aware of it. And when I started doing that, it was like, oh, a whole new style of fighting, and like, I have to. I was getting
Adapt.
my butt whooped certain ways so easily, and so like I was, something I wanted to start learning. And fortunate enough, had a Thai teacher from Bangkok here in South Florida, and yeah, just was going through the circuit. And then I was still fixated on MMA, and then I don't know. I was getting less competition through kickboxing and Muay Thai now, specifically because I was kind of well known throughout
Yeah.
the state. And so I was like, okay, what can I do next? And kind of fell into some boxing. Um, got it with some really good coaches and a really good team, with a silver medalist and a bronze
Oh,
medalist at
amazing.
the Olympics. So that, I started boxing, and then I got hooked into that whole business side of it and that universe of it, and wasn't really focusing on the kickboxing or Muay Thai as much. And more or less, I was just like, man, I miss kicking, and I miss
Yeah.
punching and elbow and knees and doing all that. Like, I'm pretty decent at boxing, but I'm not going to kid myself. Like, as much as I've done boxing, as much as I've done kickboxing, there's kids who have done boxing just as much. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to kid myself. So kind of went back and forth through it. But ultimately, I wanted to have all these martial arts and be proficient at them. So when I do something like MMA, I can make it something very spectacular and have a big arsenal pretty much to do whatever I want, and a
Yeah.
good understanding of what people do in fights and why they're doing these fighting styles.
Great. When did you know, sorry, that you wanted to go pro? Was there a time that you were like, okay, now it's my time, I'm gonna go pro?
Yeah, I thought, I got offered to do an MMA fight around 18, and it got nixed because some of there's a lot of BS
Yeah.
trainers and stuff that you got associated with, and I didn't know any better. And my father really wasn't in the professional fight scene, so he didn't know any better. But I was with a gym that kind of knew about boxing stuff, more or less. They knew how to look at contracts and stuff, and they were like, the trainer that I was involved with was trying to just kind of get me to go pro. And
Yeah.
probably at the time, like, I look back and it's like, yeah, I was, at the time, MMA was so young, and
Yeah,
like,
true.
you're able to establish yourself so quickly. And, I saw that for myself for sure, but I wasn't the right size. I was under 145 pounds.
Okay.
There's no division like that back then. And I was like, there's no way I can eat myself, or, I'm not going to take drugs or anything to
Yeah.
get bigger. Kind of, put that on the back burner because, that's just, hey, you get so many ways to win. So, it's not a sport that I feel like recovery or reaction is as bad, I would say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at a young age, I got offered to do it at 18. So then I was kind of just like, when am I going to go? When is the right time? I was mixing up my amateur fight career with boxing, MMA, and Muay Thai. So it was kind of like, I got to choose one that I want to go pro in, but each one I didn't feel like I was there just yet. So it took my time. And then basically after 20, 23, 24 years old, I was like, all right, it's time to
Start to go
shit
pro.
or get off the pot. So,
Yeah.
let's see if we can make some money with this. So.
Nice. And did you have an inspiration and when you were younger or even when you were more around 18, somebody that you were like looking out for or inspired by?
I mean, I specifically Bruce Lee was in the beginning as a kid, and
Yeah.
then watching the movies. I got to see pretty much the only person, like, as an Asian American, there's not many. So I got to see Kung Lee at the time. He
Yeah.
was doing Sen Shao, and he was at the tournaments in Florida, and I got to see him, and he was really badass looking. I kind of like, he was the man at the time. Was undefeated and in Sanshao, and he had, like, he was an Asian American in California. So as a live representative, it was nice seeing him, and I wanted to kind of emulate him. But as I grew, into the sport of kickboxing and Muay Thai, it was more Bukaw on, YouTube, and watching him on the K1 stuff, and just yeah. From there, there's certain MMA guys, but more goofy guys,
Yeah.
like more of those WWE type of guys. I like those guys in MMA. It's kind of fun for me. But
It is.
the specialists for sure, like Bukaw, was a big inspiration. Watching him just kind of not only be, Asian, but just like dominating
Yeah.
foreigners and just, destroying everybody. And that's what kind of brought me to Muay Thai too. And I really wanted to chase the K1 route, but being in the West, I didn't
Yeah,
really know how to go about that.
it's more difficult. Yeah, I have the feeling that you don't see, to be honest, that much American fighter in kickboxing or Muay Thai. Like there's
Right.
not that much. So I wonder. There's a lot of other sports in the U.S. Boxing, for example, MMA, wrestling. So I guess maybe kickboxing and Muay Thai are not that popular.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And there's, people don't look at it like that here. And now with our college sports, they pay the kids now too. So
Yeah.
it almost benefits them to go do football or soccer and,
Yeah.
get a scholarship and get paid. It's nice.
And you have a nickname, which is the American Ninja. When was it given to you, or was it something you chose, or where does it come from?
It was given to me by my trainer, Dimitri. He was training me kind of through my lion fight career and my pre amateur career leading up to the pro, and he kind of just coined that American Ninja. And with his company Muay Thai Addict, we were playing off of it and building off of it. So and it worked out. Like I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I have a question which is more related to your trainings, which is or training now or even before, but you are professional in three different disciplines, so kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA. What does your training look like? Like your routine? How do you prepare for one type of fight and then maybe you have to fight in another other discipline? So, or is it how difficult it is to adapt for you to your training routine to the fight you're gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's just been Muay Thai for me. For one,
Yeah,
I was coming out of doing MMA. I
yeah,
was back in MMA. I would say transitioning for me, it's a lot of fun to get to be able to do that. But it is difficult, and you have to. At this stage, I have to like put 150% into the training. So
yeah,
that means the resources around me, like the my trainers and my corner, have to be, that highest of standards. So
yeah,
I myself am an athlete, and I feel like I'm a high level athlete that I can do a lot of things, and I can do them at a great level, even just being shown. So the transition part isn't too hard. It's
yeah,
just staying consistent and seeing, where the flaws and the upgrades need to be. Like that's the hard part. So I haven't had an MMA fight in a few years,
yeah,
and now it's, so be interesting to see. So I would like to do it, and I'd like to transition like that. Especially if it can keep me active.
yeah,
But yeah, a lot of as far as training goes, if I'm gonna fight for the MMA, it's gonna be good 10 weeks, 10 to 8 weeks of training
yeah.
camp. Getting things correct and everything. So it's just a matter of what they're calling me for.
And are you always preparing the fights by FKA or time you go abroad, like in Thailand or whatever?
Yeah, as far FKA is my gym, my home.
Yeah,
If they decide that they're gonna have fight in the U.S., it'll do me a lot better to be at home. But most of the time, if it's in Thailand or in the southeastern, then probably going over there for training or acclimating as well.
yeah,
If it would be MMA, I would probably be with Coach Henry Hoof. If we're doing Muay Thai, definitely be over in Sitong, and if not, fly them over, get
yeah.
them to train me over here.
Is it not well, I think you're used to it now, but is it not difficult, like, because you have to leave your home to prepare a fight when you go to Thailand? Is it not difficult for you to do that? Just leave everything at your place and go train for 2 3 months in Thailand?
Yeah, definitely. Wasn't easy to get to this point, I should say.
Yeah,
As an entrepreneur, and I started the business at 25. I wasn't able to make these trips. I wasn't able to do that, and I got my gym to where it needed to be, and that I could alleviate some time for my personal self,
yeah,
So, but it hasn't been easy to get to this by any means, but it's been a fulfillment. And, I get to, this is what I have to do to be at the highest level. I have to put in that 150%.
Yeah.
So, that it's highly rewarding when it's successful. So,
And so you were talking about your gym, FKA, which you co-own, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
correct.
And you're also the head coach there. What does it mean to you to be involved in your own gym business and as well as being involved in others fighters' career? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's a big burden. It's full of passion, to be able to groom a fighter, to get them to a point to where they can have a successful career or a career in that. That takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. So it's a different kind of rewarding, like a character build,
Yeah.
internal character build, because I understand the fighter side to it too. So um, I understand the fighter gets everything, and the coach doesn't get as much. But I don't look through that lens. I understand, but also like being the coach. I think the hardest part for me is the friendships that I don't necessarily have as much with the guys because I have to be so stern and
Yeah.
so hard. Like that part is I have to kind of separate myself and you know, I understand. I understand what's needed, I guess, for it. So it's a different personality that you got to pull out. But it's very rewarding. Again, I mean, helping people is always rewarding. So
Yeah.
get them to where I am, which most of them, they want to be. Just trying to open doors for everybody, and set a little bit of a blueprint, I
Yeah.
guess. How to not just get to your destination, but how to have a journey and things that are going to help you along the way.
I guess you have a lot of knowledge to share with them on this. Are you as demanding with them as you are demanding from yourself?
Um, I think I am. I think I'm. I think I really do think I am. It's hard. It's hard to gauge sometimes because not everybody wants this as a career, but some people just want it as just a one off, or
Yeah.
and just knowing that how much time it takes, and and all the effort it takes, and all that. That's really what you want, when you're giving time is effort. So as long as people are showing, effort in the training, that when I'm there, that I'm teaching, then that really helps.
Yeah.
Fool everybody in thinking that they're gonna be something. So, but at the same time, like I am the body of work at a partial thing. So I'm like, I could be like, oh, you look at me,
Yeah.
but you can't be like that. Again, it's one of those internal character builds where you build up, some wisdom on
Yeah.
how to go about with people and your people skills and how to, treat people in this sport. Ultimately, you want them to love it
Yeah.
and come back.
Do you see your own fighting career differently now that you're also a coach? Does it impact you?
Yeah, no, I critique my biggest critic. So, um, I'm always, hard on myself on
Yeah.
that. So I try not to be as much lately. Just enjoying, my body of work, and continuing to just, make the adjustments and make myself better. So that's the good part about being the coach. I guess I'm always, breaking down those little things, and
Yeah.
always definitely coming back to basics, which are a big necessity.
So now a little break for you before we go to your actual career now. That's the Fighter IQ Dash, so that's the challenge I was talking to you about with the 10 questions. 10 questions, one or the other answer. First thing that comes to mind for you. Yeah?
Ready.
Okay. First one, Muay Thai or kickboxing?
Muay Thai.
MMA or kickboxing gloves?
Kickboxing gloves.
Alright. Cage or ring?
Ring.
Distance or close range?
Distance.
Alright. Zugari or Zatut for a rematch?
Dugari.
You prefer to be title contender in three disciplines or champion in one discipline?
Champion in one.
If you had to, losing via KO or you prefer losing on a controversial decision, like you were robbed or something.
Losing by KO.
So, Asia or US to fight, if you could choose.
Oof. Asia.
Why? Just curious.
Atmosphere, culture of it.
Yeah. Prefer to be gym owner or a coach?
Ooh, gym owner.
All right. And training camp in Thailand or in the US, if you could choose.
For for certain martial art, or
Uh, for martial arts, let's say. Yeah.
it's hard to beat Thailand.
All right. That was it. You had your first pro fight, if I'm correct, also when you were 25.
Correct.
Yeah. It was by Lion Fight, correct also?
Yep.
What was it like for you to make your pro debut in quite a big organization? Because Lion Fight back then was quite big.
Yeah, for me, getting on Lion Fights was it was a big goal coming out of the amateur to get on a good platform and not have to be in the smaller ones and kind of rise up through that. It was very important for me. So I wanted to have a name coming out as an amateur. Lion Fight offered me a shot to be on there, and pretty much I had cleaned house as far as the United States goes. Tested international, and felt I could compete on this level. So let's do the pro. So going on Lion Fight in, I think I was Foxwoods, and had a pretty good debut with a good competitor, Taran Hassanov. I was anxious, but felt really confident going into the fight. It was just ready. It was the right time to finally go pro.
And after that, you had quite a lot of success because you had the 8 fight win streak, if I'm correct as well. Between 2016 and 2019, you had 2 fights at Lion Fights and 6 by Glory, which was also just a reminder because Glory was for a long time the biggest kickboxing organization in the world. How were you feeling at the time? I mean by that, you were having a lot of success in your pro career, from your very beginning of your pro career. How did you keep yourself in line to be that good every time and not feeling like overwhelmed by being successful?
So actually, there's a little hiccup because I do have a loss
Oh,
in after my third fight. I was at Muay Thai Grand Prix.
okay.
Uh, I lost the fight to Carlton Liu, like controversial fight. Going from that fight, it didn't steer me away. Felt a lot of people felt that I won the fight too, so I wasn't like too hurt by it. I knew at some point like the O was gonna go. If you fight good enough people. But yeah, after that fight, definitely I went on a win streak. Yeah, it was I was probably around 8.
Yeah,
Probably 8. I don't know. It's hard. Like I look back on that whole time, and I'm like, man, I should have done so much more training, and I could have done so much better in those fights. And what I'm doing now, I feel it could have benefited me back then.
yeah,
Kind of when I was winning, Glory was good. It was finally like hard work has paid off. Got into Glory, and with a pretty good salary, I would say, for at
mm-hmm.
the time. And they were having fights so much, and
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, great, this is summer of glory, I get to fight again in a month. And they were pushing me, so I would say like I got, it was good. Like I was hungry, but at the same time, I got full at some point and wasn't as determined, to ramp up training as much, and kind of bit me in the ass towards
I see.
the end of my glory time, which was phenomenal to get on Glory Collision, to get on that show and be a part of such a historic event.
Yeah, for sure.
That was great.
Also, so you went from Lion Fights and Muay Thai Grand Prix to Glory. So kickboxing rules. Was it because it was easier to stay active in kickboxing than in Muay Thai, or also financially you were having better condition?
Yeah, I'm a prize fighter, so
Yeah.
definitely with, the when Glory called, it was my dream to be in K1. So when Glory called and Glory kicked back up, like I wanted to be a part of it. Just really didn't know how and didn't know have any access to it.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of caught wind of some people here in the U.S. that were affiliated with them, and I just started barking them down, and they were kind of keeping an eye on me. So yeah, it's the transition for it was definitely monetary, but at the same time, it was the platform that it offers was way bigger than anything I
Yeah,
was fighting
for
on.
sure. Glory was really huge back in the day. I remember those days. It's less. I think due to also to the competition with one championship, which is now, in my opinion, the biggest, one of the biggest organization in the fighting world. So you had your first loss, unfortunately, at Glory, Glory 74 against Zakaria Zugari.
Yeah.
I saw the fight. It was amazing. I think that's really one of the fights you should show people to let them see what kickboxing is, because that was back and forth action till the end. You were great in that fight, even if you lost. How did you bounce back from that loss? Was it like, okay, I lost that fight, but I know that I did good and I can do even better? Or were you a bit impacted by it in a negative way? Or how did you feel?
I was definitely pissed off more at myself. Yeah, there was a lot of things I could have definitely done better. Was just from the training to the overall getting there, and being at the event. I just wasn't in the right frame to be competing. So it was kind of shitty. I was like, damn, I kind of blew my shot here at something, and kind of vowed to make the changes that I needed to do. It's like I'm not stopping. It's just it sucks that it's like I gotta kind of get this
Setback.
setback
Yeah.
here. So yeah, yeah, I knew like it would. I was hoping I was going to get another rematch with him.
Yeah.
Glory was pretty keen on some rematches, so I was like, I was hoping I was going to get another one, and then kind of pandemic came through.
So yeah, yeah, now that you're mentioning it, because that was your last fight at Glory, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Is it because of the pandemic, or was there other reason as well?
Well, for me, yeah, it seemed as far as the feedback I was getting was, events were canceling, countries were changing
Yeah.
back and forth. So the U.S. was, different states, different rules. So I was always keeping in contact, but really wasn't getting much back, and it went about for like a year. I was just on standby, but in that year, I really that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna ramp up my conditioning, and I
Yeah.
took to started doing some really good plyometric work and body training and weightlifting, and I just hammered that for a year because that's all I could do. And then Glory really wasn't giving me a good response, and the contract was coming up, so
Yeah.
just basically said, why don't you just, let me out, and, I'll just go do my thing, and we can get back to something. We'll try.
So I was more because, yeah, there was no, not, I wouldn't say future, but there was no perspective in the short term for you to get back on the ring. So you went your own
Right.
way. Yeah, I understand. And you came back, so one and a half year later. So of course when the situation was better due to the pandemic, and you came back in a Muay Thai fight by Triumphant 11 in June 2021. You won via doctor stoppage. Why did you switch back to Muay Thai at the time? Was it the easiest way, or just a will to go back to Muay Thai?
Got the offer to fight for the WMO belt. I was like, yeah, of course I would love to, and that it was against Kevin Ross,
Yeah,
and it was a good challenge, and somebody who like I was watching as I was coming up through as an American. I was feeling like one day our path's got to cross. If I'm that good, our path will cross.
yeah,
So, and I got the opportunity to do it. So yeah, I wanted that fight, and I wasn't really, gosh, I mean, I was still doing kickboxing, so like I was still training and doing kickboxing, so it was the transition wasn't hard.
Yeah.
So getting back into the Muay Thai was nice.
And after that, so I guess also due to the 1.5 year layoff you had, which was not your choice, you kept yourself pretty active because you had a fight 3 months later in MMA by Titan FC 72. So in MMA, first pro fight for you. It was, I saw the fight as well. Think no disrespect to your opponent, but it was kind of a walk in the park for you. You didn't seem, yeah, in no danger at any moment. But what was your motivation at the time to go into MMA while you were having such a successful career in kickboxing and Muay Thai?
Yeah, after fighting Kevin and getting the Muay Thai belt, I was like, all right, this kind of might be it. As far as Muay Thai goes for me, unless I want to go over to the stadiums, but I wanted to make money and I wanted to be on a big platform. So it was just like, all right, let me chase the UFC. The UFC was having fights during the pandemic, so I was like, oh well, if they can have
Yeah.
fights, and they were having people, right in my backyard. Gilbert Burns fought like 3 times in 2 months, and just banked those checks, and I was like,
For real.
dang.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, here I am, like top of my class, not really doing anything. So I was like, all right, I've always wanted to do MMA, so and it's always been on the back burner. So let me see, and then I got with a management, Sucker Punch, and
Okay.
they kind of, I saw he was working with some good fighters, and happened to have Rose at my gym to do a seminar, and that management came along with him. So I got the chance to actually talk with him face to face, and it was pretty much like, kind of need help steering in the MMA world. I've done my own thing as far as the kickboxing and Muay Thai. I have access to a lot of people. In MMA, I just, I don't know as much.
Yeah.
So, and
It's
I don't
different
want to do
world.
as much anymore. So, gave him the reins, and he said we could start in Titan and just kind of build up. And yeah, it was it was a short stint.
Yeah, because unfortunately, yeah, this opponent was not on your level for sure. And 3 months later, you had another fight by Titan, Titan FC 73. And this one was no contest because, yeah, there was a illegal knee. I saw also the fight. Was it frustrating for you to finish the second fight like this, ending in a no contest? And after that, unfortunately, you didn't have another MMA fight. So is that still something you want to fix, the way it ended in MMA for you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect me too much. I mean, whether I hit him for real or not, like, it, it was a good knockout, I guess.
uh,
But like those two fights really didn't do it for me.
yeah,
Kind of, didn't bring me. It brought me like UFC Fight Pass awareness, which, I
true.
was like, whoa, that kind of jumped at me right off the bat. Like the UFC demographic is very much involved in the UFC stuff. So right when they kind of got wind of me, it was like, okay, he's involved with MMA, and it looks like he's making this run.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was nice. To me, I was like, man, what the hell? It's been 2 years and I haven't had a fight. Like, I just haven't had a fight.
yeah, a real one.
It was a short stint. Afterwards, my father had gotten sick, so there was like a time frame where I had to kind of manage with him. Didn't know if I was kind of taking fights, but didn't know where his time frame was. So we had some other fights lined up, but we kind of fell through, and then just fell out with the promotion, and
Yeah,
basically told the management that's managing me, let's see if we can get to one. Then I can do all three. I can stay active in all three. If I have a easy MMA fight, I can quickly, train and do, get that Muay Thai fight out, vice versa.
yeah,
So yeah, that made me want to make a move to one, and I could still do MMA at a good level on a good platform.
true.
Kind of made a bit of a negotiation, I guess, with Glory, because Glory kind of wanted me back again.
Oh, all
Uh,
right.
so we came back around when they were kind of picking up, steam again with their fights. Came back around and just, yeah, we didn't find a good
Agreement.
financial agreement.
Is then MMA still on your mind? Like that's still something you want to do at some point, or what?
Yep.
Yeah. So now we're entering into your one championship career. You started there at One Fight Night 3 in October from 2022, so a year ago basically. You had a tough opponent, Mehdi Zatout, a really tough guy, and you couldn't continue the fight after the first round due to eye injury. Was it frustrating? Was it, I know it was frustrating because when you fight, you never want to give up. So how frustrating were you to that you had to stop, not because you were done, but because your body could not take it because of the injury?
Yeah, it's one of those warrior spirit
Yeah,
type things. It wasn't like a hard choice. It was an easy choice. I mean, I wanted to be able to see, and
yeah, for sure.
I wanted to mainly. I just had a daughter, so I wanted to be able to see my daughter correctly. So he also got me. He got me once beforehand, and I just felt like, man, I don't know. If he catches me again, this might
Dangerous.
be really it. And in the moment with the ref, it was just my eye
Yeah.
was static pretty much, and I could feel pain. I could feel there was something not right. I was touching my eye at the same time, just kind of, is it not, I felt like it popped like a
Oh,
grape at the time, but
okay.
and just the ref said everything was, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was like, I just told him off. I said
Yeah,
no.
no risks. Did you fully recover, by the way? Is it now 100% or do you still have some
So
sequels?
he broke my orbital floor, which where the
Shit,
eye
yeah.
sits on. So it has like a crack in it. So like at a certain angle, I'll get maybe cross vision, looking straight up and down just
Yeah,
because it's slightly back. But no, nothing, I didn't have to have surgery on it. If I do, it's not beneficial for me right now,
yeah.
specifically eye surgery too. So
After that, you came back like 6 months later, but by One Fight Night 9 against Anzi Zhao, which is great opponent as well in the Muay Thai world. You won that fight. What were you feeling after coming back of that frustrating loss and coming back to fight a really good opponent and win it?
yeah, it was a great feeling. I was happy to get rounds out. Specifically, I was happy to get into a scrap, push through, persevere in the fight as well, getting knocked down, trusting myself in my corner, and just the preparation that I put in. It was a nice success. But going into it was a little nervous. At the same time, felt like I hadn't had any like rounds. Just everything was just so quick with my
Yeah,
fights in the last three, and it was like, man, I just really need to, get in there and get going. So after the first and second round, he sparked me in the second, woke me up a little bit more, and I was like, all right, well, now you're gonna lose, so you gotta fight. Really, we gotta get going. So it was nice. It was a
yeah.
nice confidence boost.
It was a great performance. I really like. I got into one championship around, I think around that time. So yeah, that's when the competition started to be really awesome in every department, like MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Like they have it all, and they have the best. So that's really amazing. Finally, we're going to talk about your last performance, uh, where you won by KO, having an arm broken. By the way, how is your arm?
That's good. It's healing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Recovering. So yeah, that was one fight night 14. Beautiful KO against Rambolek. Yeah, you were good. You were really good. I think you really messed with him. The way you control the range with your boxing. I think you have great boxing for that skill set. Like for the Muay Thai, that's a real advantage that you have against your competition. And yeah, Rambolek never found the answer to you. Like we could see, at least on TV, that's how it feels, that it was too much for him and he could never adapt. He seemed really frustrated. So yeah, what were you feeling? Is it your best performance at date? You think that, or is it just yeah one fight that you were really feeling good, but you know that you can even do better, and you think that you did better in the past?
Yeah, definitely could do better. Could definitely do without the arm break.
Yeah,
I, I'll say, like, as far as past performance, this was definitely a different spectrum of a fight for me. Typically a little bit more counter and reserved, and try to be a little bit more slick, more femur style.
yeah,
So I knew with the small gloves, I have an advantage. I understand my advantage, so I play to that. With Rambo leg, I knew he was going to be, he's got more experience in Muay Thai.
yeah.
So, even at 20 years old, and he's got more kicking experience than me, and his body's, a lot more in shape for it. So it was just one of those fights that I knew I was going to have to get down, and I was going to have to probably take some punishment, but didn't think as much.
No,
But I knew I could break him. To be honest, I knew, like, I could, once I get him on the back foot, like the pressure that I'm going to bring. If I can just keep continuing with him during his shots and making sure that he's like, oh shit, this guy's still here.
yeah,
At some point he's just gonna stop and not move
yeah.
anymore because he's gonna be so tired.
Yeah, the game plan worked perfectly, I think, because that's how it felt watching it on TV. Like, yeah, combos were working. His kicking was not enough to counter your boxing, and even between round 2 and 3, I don't know if you rewatch your fights or whatever, but during round 2 and 3, he was on the chair, like not not looking good at all. Um,
Yeah.
when did your arm break, by the way? Did you feel it at the time, or was the adrenaline you were like, okay, keep going?
Yeah, so it was definitely accumulation. I mean, his couple, he threw a couple high kicks in
Yeah.
the first, and like just really hit me really up here, and I felt it. I felt, like, ooh, like that was not a good spot to get hit, like, and then I kind of looked at it and saw a bit of a hematoma on
Mm.
it, and I was like, oh shit, but it wasn't hurting as bad. And then, like, towards the end of the second, he kicks me 3 times in a row with the right. And the first one, he catches me, and you kind of hear this, like, this crack. And, I kind of look at it. And then the second one, I kind of grazes off me. And then the next one, I kind of stick my arm out a
Mhm.
little bit. And I just felt it, like, crack. And I was like, oh, shit. And it was like, all right, gotta throw here and try to finish this kid, or he's gonna, take my arm off. And luckily, every time I looked at it, it was still hanging on. So, like, it kind of made me feel better about it, because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it can't be broken if it's still, hanging there. So
Yeah, to be honest, like watching the fight, you never let the impression that you had something wrong. Like even after the fight, you seemed pretty good. You didn't show your arm was damaged. That's only on social media that I saw it after the fight that you went to
right.
the hospital. But pretty good poker face you have. You won a bonus performance by Shatri Siotong, 50K.
Correct.
For those who are a bit familiar with kickboxing, they know that's quite a lot for bonus for kickboxer and a Muay Thai fighter. How,
Yeah.
how good does it feel to have that kind of bonus, and how helpful it is for you for your career?
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice fruit of the labor, and it's a long time in the sport. I kind of look at it as, that was my dues.
Hmm.
That was a bit of dues being paid there.
Yeah,
A little, clap on my shoulder, to be like, to stick with it and stick it out and continue through martial arts. So it was, it was very gratifying for sure. And can't explain it too much. It's not often that it
yeah.
happens.
I think that's a really good initiative from one championship that they give that kind of bonuses to every fighter, no matter what type of fight they do, it can be grappling, it can be Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA. I think that's really helpful, and it helps to professionalize a bit because you don't win that much money in kickboxing. People don't know about it, I think, but that's a difficult world to be pro in. Now let's take a quick look at your future. So now you're recovering from your injury, of course. Do you know how soon you can be back for a fight? When can you be authorized to fight by your doctors, let's say?
Well, technically, I haven't been medically suspended just yet, but I'm sure that's it would have happened from the date. So, if anything, I have 3 months of downtime.
Yeah.
So we're looking. I would like to be on the next U.S. show. So that would be the next time frame for me for whenever they decide to drop the news on that. If it's hopefully it's not January 1st or anything like that, but end of the first quarter of the year
Nice.
would be nice. I'm already trying to get back into everything, but don't want to rush anything, and healing feels good.
Nice.
So just waiting, and then seeing how the landscape's going to be in a few months. Should be a lot of changes with a lot of guys fighting.
Yeah. And do you want to stay on Muay Thai, or if they propose you a kickboxing fight, you would also say yes, for example?
It depends. Like I'd rather do an MMA fight than a kickboxing fight.
Okay.
Just because right now the Muay Thai and kickboxing are going hand in hand, it seems, especially now we got this double championship thing kind of going. So, there's kickboxers who I'd like to fight in kickboxing, but if I'm going to stay away from the stand-up, I'd rather just do the MMA.
I understand.
And then do that. But would not decline, just as a preference, I'd rather do an MMA fight.
Yeah. I see. What is your ultimate goal by one championship? You want to chase a belt in Muay Thai and then maybe in other discipline?
Yeah, to have all three was a goal, Triple Crown. As a professional fighter, that was one of my goals. I wanted the glory belt, and then UFC belt, and whatever Muay Thai, if it was a stadium belt at the time.
Yeah.
Kind of got the Muay Thai belt thing going, but to have the one championship with the fighters that I would have to go through, it would be a really good significance for me personally, and I think for the record as well.
For sure.
But I got to get going, and having an injury is not great. So I keep maybe I can get a quick MMA fight, have a quick win, and not get kicked in the head 10 times by a Thai.
I see. Thank you very much for your presence today. That means a lot, and I think it's really a good insight for people that are interested into getting into that world, and also it's inspirational because you're there since you're 5 years old and you're still here and you're still chasing a belt, so that's pretty amazing. I hope you get that belt in one championship, and take care of yourself, and see you soon.
Thank you. Great interview.
Thank you. That was it for today's episode of the Fight IQ Unplugged. Really appreciated that Asa took his time in order to be with us, especially that that he is recovering from an injury and that he has a gym to run. Beautiful insight, and I love that he shared his experience with us. I think it can really benefit the younger generation and people that want to be fighters, MMA, Muay Thai and kickboxing. I will put his social media in the description, then you can all wish him a good recovery. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment in order to encourage me, or punch the subscribe button to be aware anytime we drop something new. I'll see you in the next Fight IQ show. Stay safe, enjoy the fights.